Karibuni, welcome all. Hi there, everybody. How are you doing? Today is another day. It's a Sunday. Karibu to the African Queen Mo show. Today we are going to be discussing a very hot topic. Today we're going to talk about something that's a little bit uncomfortable. And I am actually presenting from the lovely country of Kenya, from the lovely city of Nairobi. And I am in my living room and I'm wondering to myself, that music on that piano, who's going to play the music? Today we're going to be talking about a heavy topic, very heavy, guys. It's about the unalivement of women in Kenya and how it makes us feel, how it makes us as women feel, not just about the women who have been targeted and unalived. I have to use the word unalive because I don't want to use the word like K star LLED, because if I use those words, some of these platforms like YouTube and Facebook get a bit sensitive, although that is the fact, you see. So allow me to use the word unalived. In Kenya, we are facing a big menace of huge proportions. And this is because women in Kenya have been unalived at a rate of minimum one per day for the past 90 days. 97 women, according to the Inspector General of Police himself, the Deputy Inspector General, stated that in the past 90 days, 97 women have been unalived. That's more than one woman a day. And those are the women who have been reported in the media. What about the ones who go unreported? Now, let's start with definitions, because you see, I was trying to understand what is, what are the definitions? The common definition that we use is femicide. However, that particular definition may or may not be correct. But you see, it has, the word femicide has actually undergone a lot of metamorphosis and different uses. So let's look at it from Wikipedia, our favorite friend, Wikipedia. Femicide is a term for murdering of females, often because of their gender. This is from Wikipedia, okay? The free encyclopedia. So femicide is a term that is used for murdering of females, all right? At first, it was because of their gender. In 1976, the feminist author Diana E. Russell first implicitly defined the term as a hate killing of females by males. A hate killing of females by males. But she went on to redefine it as the killing of females by males because they are female. Okay, so it moved from hate killing to killing of females just because they're female in later years. So femicide can be, perpetrated by either sex. It can be, so in other words, in this definition of hers, you can actually kill a female because you don't like females. Whether you're a male or a female, you can kill another female just because she is a female too, okay? So it's femicide can be perpetrated by either sex, but is most often committed by men, most often. And this is likely due, according to her, to unequal power between men and women, as well as harmful gender roles, stereotypes, or social norms, the things that we see in society as being normal. Okay, usually the research has shown that almost half of the homicides, almost half of the unalivement of women is carried out by the spouse, by the partner. Okay, additionally, femicide can also be underreported. Yeah, because of insufficient evidence. And this is why I'm saying when the Deputy Inspector of Police mentions 97 women killed in 90 days, let's not forget the underreported females. It could be double. It could be many, many more. Okay, those are the ones that are officially noted as the killing of females. So until recently, femicide was not considered as a visible phenomenon. But okay, let me not get into great detail. But we know that that term has undergone different definitions and different developments. The current usage of the term started with the feminist movements earlier on, okay? And today, today, femicide is actually considered to be an extreme end, okay, of terror against women. And it includes rape, torture, sexual slavery, particularly in prostitution, incest, extramarital, child sexual abuse. So it includes children as well, female children, physical and emotional battery, sexual harassment, on the phone, in the streets, in the office, at the classroom, genital mutilation, all right? So all of that is considered to be femicide because it kills on many levels. It kills a woman emotionally, physically, and on many other levels. Yeah. So let's talk about this forced motherhood, early child. You know, when young girls are forced to be mothers early in life, all that. So the definition of femicide is getting broader and broader and broader. Now, the reason that I decided to discuss this issue is because in Kenya, femicide is something that people don't like to talk about. They don't. And in fact, once you start talking about femicide, immediately you are labeled as a feminist, okay? And a male hater, anti-men. Even when the data, even when the evidence is right there in people's faces, people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to associate with it because they have a sense of shame, guilt, and helplessness, emasculation, especially because the eye is always on the man, okay, as a perpetrator of this crime against women. Now, what I want to tell you about femicide is this. The current situation in Kenya is that, according to Governor Susan Kihika of Nakuru, I don't know why Nakuru County is always like on top. They're always first, okay? The governor of Nakuru County, yeah, she said that the president should consider femicide a national crisis in Kenya. Reports of just yesterday, guys, there was a body of a mutilated female that was found at the cemetery. And the description of that body is beyond words, guys. It talks about body parts being removed, ribs here, there, parts of the body processed, boiled. I mean, guys, what's happening? What's happening to our country? Let me bring the matter home now. Now, as opposed to the way I used to feel comfortable as a woman, just get up and move around, I find myself looking around, always being a little bit more concerned and mindful. Do any of you guys experience this? Are you experiencing this in Nairobi right now, especially in Nairobi? Because most of these femicide cases are happening right here in the city or its environs. All right. In fact, I've been attending several events recently, and I found that women are saying by the time the clock hits about 4 or 5 o'clock, women are ready to leave. They want to go, especially those women who are not driving. Those women who are taking matatus, public transport, they're like, no, at our stage, women are being trapped. Women are being waited for. People are waiting to waylay women or to waylay people, not just women, men and women, okay? But of course, you can imagine that a woman would feel even more exposed than a man. So what I can say as a Kenyan in this country right now, as a woman in Kenya, is that women are not safe. Women do not feel safe. Women do not feel safe. Women are not safe according to the statistics, and nobody is there to look after the interests of women and the female child. Yes, That's a fact. And this is a situation in Kenya. I have one person watching, and if you're watching, thank you very much. Please come on board, guys. Come into the comment section and let's talk about this issue because it is very, very important. It is extremely important. We cannot, as women, sit back and just allow this situation to happen. We cannot just allow that to happen. Yeah, this is a very, very, very serious situation. Do you know? Let me tell you a story. Today, as I was driving on the streets of Nairobi, on the roads of Nairobi, I noticed a lot of people selling wares, selling stuff. There were these men who sell knives and sharpening instruments for knives, like a knife sharpener. And now, before I would look at such a thing and not think anything of it and just think, okay, how much is it? Now, I will not open my window to ask any question of somebody who is selling a knife and a knife sharpener on the streets. I will not. Why? Because research shows, and the reports in the media and the newspaper show, many women, those same instruments are being used to cause harm on women. How about if they take the knife and do something to me? What if they're pretending to be selling those things to you and they attack you with it? Yeah? What if you're looking at something else on the streets of Nairobi and then one of those men decides, maybe they trick you, they're showing you maybe toys for children and stuff that they're selling on the road, all these guys. But there's somebody with some instrument, knives. There are plenty of men walking around with knives and knife sharpeners. This is no longer the environment to be walking around with such instruments. No way, and I don't know what you guys think about it, what you're thinking. I know some of you guys will be watching this. Today's a Sunday, it's a Sunday evening. I know that many people are probably watching the news or maybe going to bed or whatever in Kenya, but I'm hoping that you will learn to join me on the StreamYard. I know that I'm usually on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'm hoping that some of you guys will join me here so that we can talk and chat and, get on board with this because it's very serious. Let me just make sure that I am streaming publicly and not privately, because sometimes what happens is if I stream, sometimes what happens is that it goes to private mode. Yes. Oh, it's telling me I'm about to stream on YouTube. Really? Why wasn't it streaming on YouTube before? Oh, it's on YouTube apparently, guys. But anyway, let me just make sure that everything is on public view and not on private view. Make sure that we are in studio so that everybody watches. So anyway, guys, I just hope that you're okay. And yeah, it's on public view. And I'd really appreciate if you guys could invite your friends to come and watch. It's very important. It's a very important topic, guys. It's not just about politics. It's also part of politics because, in traditional society, women were abducted by men. Yeah. Women were abducted and taken to neighboring villages and they were forced to become wives. Yeah. And in this particular case, women are being attacked, not just physically, but we are being attacked environmentally. We are being attacked through the health system, so-called health system. Women are being attacked educationally, in education. When it comes to social media, women are attacked there, yeah, to the point where we have seen, even in terms of very unkind words that are stated to women on social media, such as Facebook and YouTube, you'll see, always words used against women to try to undermine us, to try to make us seem as if what we're talking about doesn't make any sense. But what worries me is these men who are speaking like that, usually it's men, they are quick to show off their daughters, to talk about, having a daddy's girl, or being a father of a baby girl. But then nobody's talking about, they forget to talk about the security of their daughter. Yeah, what will happen one day when their daughter is out there and doesn't have security or is being targeted for simply being a woman. I would like to say that in this particular case, I believe that the government of Kenya is not gender neutral. In fact, I would say the government of Kenya, starting with the president himself, are actually misogynistic. We are living in very misogynist times. Misogynist means people who hate women, people who do not like women for whatever reason. You can tell that this government does not like women because even just observing the 2/3 gender rule, they can't do that in parliament. When you look at the spouses and you look at the women who are part of the parliament and you see how they are treated by their male counterparts, you can just see, or how they themselves present themselves. You will tell a misogynistic environment when you see women cheapen themselves or women refuse to take on their leadership roles and fight the system, where you find there's only like one woman, maybe Muthoniwa or Mushomba, maybe one woman, like maybe Martha Karua in opposition, you know. Out of all the women who are there, nominated women representatives, there are none of them, none talking on behalf of women. And this is a big issue, guys. It is an issue. Yeah, I don't see people watching, and I hope that you will come on board at some point. But you know, this is an issue. In our country, we are starting to become a country which cannot entrust our daughters to the establishment. This is a country that is moving from bad to worse. Bad to worse. And I will tell you that I've always never, should I say always never, no. I've always felt that this country is not safe, quite safe for women. If I compare, for example, what am I comparing with? I'm even comparing with countries where they don't even have high GDPs like Kenya. So I'm not even going to compare Kenya with a developed country like England or what they call developed. I'm not going to compare Kenya with England or America. Let's compare Kenya with small island nations, like a small tiny country like Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea. If you go to those countries, and I've been, if you go to those countries, you will find that their GDP is very low. Yeah. These are what you call literally poor countries. Yeah. Very poor countries. But the relations between the genders is different. Yeah. There is a high wife battery there, but the government's attitude towards women is different. Very different. You will find that women have a voice. In those traditional societies, women have a voice. Women are respected. Children are respected. You will find fathers walking their children to school. Yeah? I was really shocked when I was in the Solomon Islands, because that is the first country that I went to. Solomon Islands is in the South Pacific. And it's a country that I went to where I actually saw men with bushy beards and, you know, men who don't cut their hair, very, very long, all the way down to their legs. Yeah. Those men, older men, walking to school barefoot to carry their baby girls on their hips, on their sides. The love that those men show to their little babies and their children is unbelievable, is what you expect of a society like Kenya, but it's not there. You don't see that. Also, you also notice that women and men kind of like hang out together, band together, and women band together. You find many women are in the markets and men are out there doing fishing. But when it comes time to picking up the children, it is mostly the men who are going to nursery schools to pick up their daughters and sons. They look after their children the same way that you see in other societies, I believe, like if you look at pastoralist societies in Africa, you'll see people who are not so highly developed, like for example, haven't had exposure much to Western education and Western values. You'll find a lot of in those families, a lot of the men are very involved in the raising of their children and in protecting of their women. They do anything to protect the women and the child. This is something that you don't quite notice. Hi, Fia. Welcome to my show. It's like you're the first one on here. Karibu sana. Today we're talking about misogyny and feminism, a very hot and difficult topic. And I don't know whether YouTube is going to promote me on this. It's going to be one where most people are not going to be interested in talking about. But I'll tell you guys, let me not say that, but I think most people will be shy to talk about this. But we have to look at our societies and ask ourselves, where are we going with 97 women killed in 90 days in Kenya? Where are we going? What has the president of Kenya done or said about it? According to The Nation, November 3rd, which is Sunday, today, in The Nation newspaper, I think after a lot of pressure, President William Ruto vowed to deal decisively with the rising cases of killings of women and girls in Kenya, pledging to provide police with the necessary resources to put an end to the runaway crime. Now, the president is now pledging to provide police with necessary resources to put an end to the runaway crime. This is after 97 women were killed in 90 days, reported by the Deputy Inspector General of Police. Now, my question is this. All these statistics and all this information has been out there. Yeah? All this information has been out there. But, yeah, just a second. Let me, all this information has been out there, but this is a time when the president is thinking about dealing decisively with cases of killings of women and girls in Kenya. Now, November 3rd, while stopping short of declaring femicide a national crisis as demanded by the Nakuru Governor, Susan Kihika, Dr. Ruto, he even calls himself Dr. Ruto, PhD, on Sunday said his government would take the necessary steps to protect women and girls in the country. Speaking during a Thanksgiving service at Africa Divine Church in Nairobi, President Ruto said police would deal with the criminal part of the crime, but called on parents and all Kenyans to take the lead in instilling good morals in their children. Listen to that. Listen to that. So now it's become a moral issue and not an issue of crime against women. Who in their right minds is actually going out and dismembering women? Is it people who have bad morals? Is it children? Is it the children who have bad morals, really? Fia, what do you think about that if you're still on board? Yeah, what do you think about that? Yeah? Yeah, so it's really crazy. I really hope that Susan will join me if she's available, but if she's not, I gave her very short notice because today I had something I was doing and I normally don't stream today. But I thought to myself, this is a very important topic and we need to talk about these issues, people. We need to come on board. I'm still waiting for you guys to come on board. Yeah, come on board. Let's talk about this. Let it not be a lecture because it's not. It's not a lecture series. I need you guys to come on board. And let's talk about this issue because it's important. Women are getting unalived in Kenya at a crazy rate that you don't hear in Tanzania or Uganda. At this point, I would feel much safer in Tanzania or Uganda than in Kenya as a woman. Yeah, I've said it as it is because that is what it is. Yeah. Kenya has become an extremely unsafe country for women and girls. And not just women and girls, everybody. Because you also see boys and men also targeted. But in this particular case, we are talking about women and girls. Okay, the next series will be touching on men and boys as well. And I won't be doing a show just for them. I will never do that because I will be untrue to myself and untrue to the statistics. Yeah. So these are the kinds of problems that we're facing in Kenya. Kenya has become extremely insecure for women and girls. Now, not only is it insecure in terms of femicide, as far as unaliving of women by intimate partners, but also unaliving of women through botched surgeries. Okay? There's this gentleman called Francis Nganga who, on Sunday, today, spoke after his wife, spoke about his wife passing away after undergoing a botched surgery, cosmetic surgery, at a clinic that is called Body by Design. It's called Body by Design Clinic. All right. So what happened is that his wife's stool was passing through perforated intestines, leaving, imagine, her intestines were perforated. Okay. And now we have this lawyer who is there, I heard him today, called Dadson Omari, defending the clinic and saying that there are very many causes for perforated intestines, including diabetes and other such things. Yeah. Basically, instead of bringing a medical person on board to talk about the surgery, he, as a lawyer, decides to take it up and talks about, her possibly this lady called Lucy Wamboi, that her death was caused by perforated intestines and that had nothing to do with the botched surgery, despite the fact that she had just had the surgery the day before to reduce, to reduce her stomach, I believe it was, to try to reduce her appetite, to, things like that. So we have botched surgeries. We also have women dying because of C-sections gone wrong, because of not having access right now to medical care, because of the shift between the NHIF and the SHAF. Many women are not going to be able to access healthcare, especially women who are giving birth. Female children will be at risk in terms of their lives. So right now we are going through a crisis, a medical crisis in the country. Let's talk about in education. At the moment, many girls are not going to have access to higher education, especially university education, because parents are going to have to choose between boys and girls who they're going to educate because of the rising cost of education, which means that many parents can no longer afford the education because the students are being categorized in different bands depending on the income of the families. So some families which can afford which cannot afford will have to choose between the men and the women. And historically, we are aware that most educational opportunities would be given to the boy in the family because he would be seen to be the income earner. Let's talk about jobs. In jobs, women are discriminated against because there is sexual harassment on the job. Also, many women have reported and many girls have reported that in order to get a job, they have to give up their dignity, they have to give up their bodies to their to-be employers. And once employed, they have to continue to become like second fiddle to the boss. So what I'm saying is that the unfairness in the society, in Kenyan society, the gap is growing bigger. Instead of it narrowing and providing equal opportunity for men and for women, the gap is narrowing. And it's getting wider and wider instead of narrowing down. It had started to narrow down, okay? During the Kibaki presidency, where everybody had access to free primary education and access to education because President Kibaki actually prioritized education so much for everybody. So girls in the meantime became educated, and that's why we have a very highly educated group of young women, these Gen Zs, a lot of them. And now they want to deny young girls and women the opportunity to have the education because of the potency with which they're dealing with matters now. You can see that Gen Z are potent. potent with their matters right now on governance. They are reading, they are researching, women and men. You saw women in the front lines, you saw females in the front lines. But in the front lines of the demonstrations, the mandamanos, we saw the women. Many girls in the front line, guys. Yeah? But what's going to happen now is that women are going to be, they are actually fishing out. The story is that they're fishing out all the people who participated in the Gen Z protests. Many of them were women and they are identifiable. They're in the front row. There have been so many women's bodies that were found mutilated, bodies cut up and mutilated in sacks inside the quarry. Those bodies have never been identified positively. The mortuary, the city mortuary at the moment right now is actually closed because the bodies are too many. The other day we saw a story of a police van trying to bring unidentified bodies to the mortuary, and the mortuary refused to accept them. One, because it was unidentified. Two, because they say they don't have space. This is the national mortuary. So I'm talking about this in English, fully in English, because I want everybody in the world to be aware of what is going on in our country called Kenya, and all those people who call themselves ambassadors and foreign missionaries in our country. If you are not speaking up against this issue in Kenya, then you are complacent and part of the problem. That's all I can say. You are complacent, you are part of the problem because you can't put pressure on our government to protect our girls and women. I know that there was a joint statement by the ambassadors, about 9 of them, but visibly absent was the American ambassador, okay, who has always been very vocal on Kenyan politics, warning Kenyans about, oh, don't go to this place in Kenya because it's going to become a hotbed of unrest. But when it comes to women and girls, okay, when it comes to femicide, when it comes to the killing of women and girls in our country, she's totally quiet, Meg Whitman, and I'm calling her out. I am calling her out because I am a beneficiary of American education. Many of us who are beneficiaries of American education, and I'm not a beneficiary because I didn't pay for it. I paid for it, cash, right? I paid with my time. I paid with cash for an American education. So I know America. I know how women's rights are protected in the US. So the question is, why is it that they would apply different standards to our countries in Africa? We know that even in South Africa, the rate of femicide is very, very high. Why don't people talk about it? As we speak right now, we have South Sudan, where we heard reports of women are being raped and killed in South Sudan. We're talking about the Congo, the same problem. And women are quiet. Women representatives in government are quiet, saying nothing about these issues. It means that you and I, guys, you and I must stand up and speak up. We have to be known as human rights defenders of women. Women's issues. We are the bearers of the next generation. We are the bearers of the current generation. We have young women who are yet to become mothers, who are scared out of their minds to open their mouths and speak. Relationships between partners are being affected by these femicides because men are being emboldened to know that they can do as they want with women. They can speak as they want. They can act as they want with their wives, with their daughters. Okay? We traditionally as Africans, we have been egalitarian with women. Women have gone to war for our countries, guys. Women have gone to war. Women have fought. We've heard of women warriors who have fought. Women continue to fight for the rights, not just of women, but of children, of young people, of Gen Zs. Who was that? It was Martha Karua the other day. Okay? Honorable Martha Karua the other day, who went and fought for the rights of an influencer, a human rights defender. He calls himself Boniface Mwangi, who was arrested at his house. This was a woman who went to fight for this young man. And she has fought for many, many young people. My question is, what happens when women cry out for help and men do nothing? Men do nothing at all. At all. As we speak right now, we have been told that Maverick Aoko somehow resurface. Maverick Owoko is actually an influencer in Kenya, a social media influencer who went missing about 3 weeks ago. She just disappeared without a trace. All of a sudden, during the inauguration, or should I say, is it the inauguration? I believe, yes, it is, of the deputy president, a story came up in the news that she was found somewhere on the border between Kenya and Tanzania. The trouble is that she hasn't been, seen physically. Nobody actually saw her. These are just rumors. These are just statements. And at the same time, if you look on the social media platforms, you also see that people are saying that perhaps she's missing. She's nowhere to be found. Really, don't believe those reports. So for how long, I'm asking women now, this is women, how long are we going to be quiet as our sisters are kidnapped, abducted, mutilated, murdered, threatened? How long are we going to be quiet? How long are you going to take this, women? For how long are you going to take this? And for how long are our international partners? We call them international partners because they're supposed to be partners, right? So for how long are our international partners going to turn a blind eye as our government basically terrorizes women in this country and girls? For how long are we going to be quiet? So in other words, we are literally on the eve of the US election. We are on the eve of the US election. If you are a woman in Africa and in Kenya, or a man who is a human rights defender, a man who understands the importance of keeping a country safe, and especially its women and children, look at the history of the Democrats and the Republicans and decide based on that which people during which regimes are our women and girls safest in Africa. Is it with the Democrats or is it with the Republicans? Because you see, the US election will always impact on the rest of the world. It will impact on us. It impacts on our security. It impacts on our sense of safety. It impacts on our human rights. It impacts on the rights of children, of babies, of mothers. Women are very critical everywhere in the world. And this is why women are so safe in Western countries. This is why a lot of African women, when they go to Western countries, they don't want to leave. They want to stay there. You can interview most women in England, in America, they would rather deal with the bad weather and remain there. And their husbands want to come back to Africa. But those women want to remain there. Why? Because they know that they're safe. You feel safe. You can get up and you can walk around. In most of these countries, as a woman, you feel safe. But now in a country like Kenya, with the current situation that we have, with the current regime, the Kenya Kwanza regime has introduced a feeling of lack of security of women of Kenya. Women of Kenya are not feeling secure. And the Deputy Inspector General has confirmed it to us, that we have a reason not to feel secure in our own country, not to feel safe. Because we have people who have demonstrated that they are actually a risk to us. They are a risk to our lives. And they're happy to take the lives of women and say nothing. Yeah? The moral compass of our country is literally gone to the bins. And once you touch the woman and the female child, or the woman and the child, that country is literally done. That country is done. You can forget it. You don't have a nation anymore. Okay? You do not have a nation anymore if women are not safe in your country. Either your women are not safe in your country, so you pick them up and you send them to the Middle East to go and work. They come back in body bags and you say nothing. They are tortured. They call asking for help. You do nothing. You don't even send out your airlines to go and bring them back like Ethiopia did. Ethiopia actually evacuated many women from the Middle Eastern countries. Yeah. And I was at the Addis Ababa airport when I actually saw those women unpacking their bags and so excited and hugging each other at the airport in Addis Ababa because the government owns the airline and the airline brought back its women because of its pride. Ethiopia is a proud country. I wouldn't say that about Kenya. Kenyan women are still being shipped abroad to go and work as domestic slaves. They're not domestic workers, they're domestic slaves. In those houses, these are women of reproductive age being sent to those countries to work as reproductive slaves and to work as slaves in those countries. And of course, they also get into sexual slavery in those countries. All right. Many of them are young. They have young children they have left behind with their mothers. Their mothers are suffering. Their children are suffering. Yeah. That is all part of a type of femicide. When you kill a woman's psyche, self-esteem, when you kill a mother's self-esteem and psyche, you are committing femicide against women. To me, I consider that all part of femicide because it kills the psyche of a woman. Thank you, Fia. Very true. Our safety first. Absolutely. If a woman cannot feel safe in the country that she and her grandparents was born in, and the woman, instead of that country creating a safe environment, it takes that woman and puts her in an even more insecure position where she has nobody to call on in other Gulf countries, or even in Western countries, by the way. It doesn't mean that because those countries are Western and whatever, that a woman from Africa will feel safe there. Not necessarily. Because who would they contact in case they felt unsafe in America or England? Who would they contact? But right now, the biggest threat is the Gulf countries. Today I was reading an article in the newspaper where there was this girl in India who was trafficked. She was human trafficked from Kenya to India, and she had to pay back her She had gone to India because she had been promised that she was being given a job. Young people are desperate for jobs in Africa. And you can't blame this girl because she said they were promising her a job. Many of these girls are actually brought from the villages, very deep in the villages where they have no exposure. Because of the bad quality education, they have no exposure to what's going on in the world. Yeah. So they don't have any exposure to India. They don't know whether India, Kuwait, Iran, they don't know where these countries are. For them, they just hear that there's a job. They have a poor family that's waiting on them. Yeah, this job is going to pay for their flight, their ticket, is going to pay for everything for them, for their food, for their accommodation. They come from poor families where there's nothing out in the villages. This girl ended up in India as a sex slave. And she was told, her passport was taken away from her, and she was told that she has to pay back 200,000 shillings. And she had only paid back, I think she said she's only paid 140,000, and now she needs 60,000 shillings. She's tired of being a sex slave. She has to be a sex slave, a prostitute, to earn back her money for her employer before the employer will release her passport. Guys, this is happening. This thing is replicated around the world. Kenya is no exception, and we have to do something about it. And I think on that note, I'm going to leave it there and thank Fia very, very much for joining me and the other person who's watching, because I can see we are 2 people watching. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave it there because I've got, things to do like you all do. But I really appreciate your time. And I'd like us to be talking about this. I think every Sunday evening, I'm going to make it a point to talk about women's issues. Let them call me a feminist. Let them call me whatever they want to call me. But I'm going to come here with statistics. I'm coming here with information. And I want solutions. I would like people to talk. Fia has already said, safety first. Safety first. But the thing is, we have a right. It's our actual inalienable right to feel secure and safe in our countries. Nobody has a right to abduct anyone or to kill anybody. Killing is a crime. Murder is a crime in this country. Unless we want to say the judiciary doesn't work. The judiciary is compromised. Yeah? Unless we want to say that we're living in a banana republic with kangaroo courts. And before I go on further, I just want to say thank you for your time. Let's see you next time. And please come back to me with some questions and some, comments. I really appreciate it. Good night, Fia. And everybody else who's going to watch later, thank you very much for watching. Remember to put a thumbs up on this video, and let's see you tomorrow on our talk at about 8 o'clock in the evening in Kenyan time, or between 8 and 8:30. We'll see you tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, plus Sundays is Women Day, Women and Mental Health Day. Bye-bye. To-dos. Thank you very much for your time.